Here we go. Okay. Hi. This is my project Introduction to Toxicology by Raul Garcia. So let's start with the second slide here. So how does toxicology relate with our daily life? Well, toxicology is a form of science, chemistry, that really helps us understand the harmful effects the substance and drug situations have on the public. Which example? It can be drugs. It can be like when fish has mercury and stuff like that. The study of the poisons and adverse effects of chemical exposure. But you also have to keep in mind not all people have the same reactions when it comes down to drugs and substances. In reality, toxicology is used to use with power science and formulas and everything, which we'll get into more into the slides. It's to predict what and how the chemicals may harm and share that information to the public to protect and keep the people informed. It's never bad to keep the people informed. Okay, slide 3. Um, what are the types of poisons? So the type of poisons you have first here is organic poisons. One of the organic poisons are the most common and most used and distributed with would be pesticides. Most farmers here in NorCal, California, it, based off my information that I where I live, California is really popular with the fruits and vegetables, and most farmers use that pesticides to control those little insects that may damage their crops and may affect their business. So most farmers use that to control the damage that's being used. But despite the fact that most pesticides products can be considered slightly toxic, and some may be not toxic. All pesticides can be hazardous to humans, animals, and other organisms in the environment. Uh, you know, each package you buy, shows the harmful effects. It's the most common, signs you would say is, this product can cause cancer, birth defects and stuff like that here in California, or anywhere. Um, use the, most farmers would want to follow the rules and be, um, sorry, excuse me. Most farmers would have to follow the rules, and how recommended use by the company. Um, heavy metals, arsenic and mercury, which is the most, that's arsenic, that's the forms of rocks, and mercury can come in liquid, and if you do melt it, it comes like with the fish when you cut it open, you can kind of see the shiny, silverish, irony color look. That's what it is. It's most commonly found in today's world. Arsenic can be found in contaminated water. If the filters are not filtering the water correctly, bacteria can spread. Fungus and all that. Eating certain foods such as fish, shrimp, and sushi, which could contain a lot of mercury. If you eat sushi, you're eating raw foods, so which most likely will have some sort of parasites and stuff like that. And drugs and alcohol. Sorry, excuse me. In today's times, the most common drug use here in the U.S., starting from like 2020, has been used of fentanyl. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid up to 50 times stronger than heroin and a whopping 100 times more potent than morphine. So, why fentanyl? Fentanyl is really addictive. It's the most cheapest and the most powerful form of drugs. Fentanyl is sneaky. You can't really see the difference. You can't really taste the difference, or you can't really smell the difference. But remember, fentanyl is an opioid. Many drugs could be laced with this deadly opioid to make them cheaper, more powerful, and more addictive, like I mentioned. Okay, slide 4. Methods of poison detection. You got blood, you got urine, and you got hair. So let's talk about blood. Blood poisoning is could be used by doctors. On this image here, you can see on the bottom, when you go to the doctor's checkup, they take, oh, okay, we're gonna have a little blood sample, so they take off, like a little tiny blood, so you can see how healthy your blood cells are, if you have any bacteria, any infections. Um, it's gonna be diagnosed by a doctor, who will perform a physical exam and order blood tests for signs of bacterial infection. A complete blood count. It can be range from to see the blood count, the blood cultures within your family, and check for any clotting problems, which could be fats and stuff like that. And cholesterol and abnormalities and electrolytes, and how good your liver is working in your kidney. And it's also like to mention that oxygen levels is really really helpful. So you can see if your body's pumping the blood, going through your body, no problems, no health problems. That's why most people get their the injections on near the elbow, inside their elbow. So you can definitely, and also to donate blood. Urine. Urine's a really popular one that most companies and most drugs use. Testing kits are used. They urine is a big example when how to detect any type of drug use. It's gonna tell you if you smoked weed. What kind of like you can be doing on meth. How healthy you are if you're drinking a lot of water. I'm so sorry. A urine toxicology screen is a non-invasive test that can be detected by presenting the drugs and toxins in urine. How much alcohol you're consuming, how much of this drug you're doing. It can really just show how healthy and not healthy you are. It can also determine someone intentionally or accidentally poison or overdose. So, as in crime scenes, crime scenes detectives take that urine or take blood tests in order to just see how the cause of death was. um, it can also be determined if someone is using illicit use drugs, and fulfill like those the person's satisfaction. But it also tells you what kind of drugs you're doing. For hair, it's not really as popular, but it's out there. Hair analysis, in other words, it can be used to be detecting poison by metals like lead or mercury. It's not as much used common, but it also has DNA, which can be traced who you are and crime scenes. Hair analysis involves examining the structure of the hair, which every body part has some sort of DNA. So they look at the DNA, they look at the structure, and look at the cells on the hair roots. And samples like these can be tested for with chemicals under a microscope. Slide 5. So chemical test. Marshall test is really really popular. The Marshall test contains you know the significant role of impacting forensic science in the roles of scientists in court trials. It has helped, really really helped, to see the field of forensic toxicology and made deliberate arsenic poisoning less common. The way that worked, it's the test providing adding zinc and hydrochloric acid to the sample to generate hydrogen gas. If arsenic is present, the gas is passed through the heated gas tube, where it decomposes into brown acidic metals, as the picture kind of shows. The chemical test, another chemical test, sorry, is could be the colorimetric test. Back as the urine, it changes colors depending how much level of let's say on the waters, how contaminated, how much how much lead, how much mercury, how much heavy metals are contained, or in drugs used. It changes like from if you're using meth, it changes from nothing to color blue. That's what how most drug agencies use it. So it's the method for using concentrators of chemicals compounds in a solution by using a colorogenic to create color that can be measured. So there's a scale here. Um, the color may shift depending on how serious and how much there is, and how serious the contamination is, or how much drug is in the present body. It's great for drug testing. That's what the most common. Uh, obviously with the technology, you put a little bag. You crack the little liquid in the bag, and you just kind of shake it up. and boom, it changes the colors and tells what kind of drug it is. Medical toxicology. So another one, going back to the Narcan. No, sorry, going back to the fentanyl. Narcan is a reverse agency. So basically, medical toxicology is the study of the harmful effects of chemicals in drugs and environment toxins in the human health. It focuses on diagnosing and treating poisoning and drug overdoses in the environment exposure. Medical technologists, toxicologists work in emergency settings providing critical care for patients affected by drugs, affected by fentanyl, which is the most common one, going back to the opioids. Um, the type of field this includes is, it's both clinical. You can go to a clinic. They're gonna, obviously, like this doctor showing, they're gonna take notes. They're gonna see what's under the microscope, what kind of blood, what kind of cells that it's producing, what kind of bacteria there is. Or it could be for laboratory, aspects to, just to understand how this bacteria grows, what's fed off, what's trying to feed off to, what it needs, stuff like that. uh, but it's a great way to see what kind of drugs can fight this, and it's a great way to conduct testing and recommended to see what kind of treatments options are out there for each type of infection or drug or overdoses. Okay, so forensics investigations. Forensics investigations is a plays a crucial role in determining the cause of death and criminal intent by analyzing bloody fluids, tissues, and other biological samples by toxic substances and drugs and poisons. So, like I said, going back, it could be, someone died. So the the coroner office is gonna conduct its testing. It could be by blood, hair, grabbing a piece of their saliva or urine. Um, and it helps the investigators identify the substance that may be contributed to the death, whether it could be an overdose or whether someone really got poisoned by by drink, by foods, maybe medical. They didn't even know that was the that was the right pill, um, or whether it's accidental or intentional. You know, toxicologists use this information to provide evidence in court. So they show up in court, they explain how that accident or the crime scene happened, and they both assisting in both criminal and civil investigations. You know, more detailed insights can be found in forensic toxic, articles or reports that the police departments, coroners, police coroners that do, in ambulances, explaining the cause of death, which is the most common. Okay. Going to slide 9, challenges and limitations. So here you got all this step by not step by step, but you got all these physics, chemistry, computer science, biology, engineering, toxicology, and mathematics, which all could, it all relates to chemistry and science to help out to figure out what kind of causes, what kind of fields you're working with. Not everything is the same. Everything has its own formulas. Everything has its own ways of working. So, but here we're focusing on toxicology, which is my subject. The key challenges and limitations in toxicology could include the new drugs, new substances, and unknown chemicals, and it's very difficult in accurately accessing exposure levels, complex interactions between chemicals. So if you mix one chemical with another chemical, you gotta see how they react. You gotta see what kind of formula they're working with. Um, you know, it things is the government and the doctors and those clinics and facilities. It really requires a lot of money to figure out this research problem. So for example, cancer, people donate to cancer researches so they can find treatments and stuff like that. um But the thing is, it really does help to protect the human body and keep the body informed. No, keep the public informed. Sorry, uh, about how this all works and stuff. You know, it can range from animals. Animals are the most tested, and then humans are volunteer testing. But it really helps to take to dig in deeper. Um, they also need to keep up with involving drugs to help out and reverse the common overdoses and stuff like that. It can also produce patterns related to the drugs and how it's formatted. So on my last slide, a quick summary is toxicology is very 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 helpful to protect the public health. I can understand to help the harmful effects caused by chemicals, drugs, and environment substances such as bacteria or fungi, which could spread and create new problems. But it can also span from forensics investigations such as crimes to drug overdoses. Um, so to end it off, is you have all these types of, you know, the poisons. You got the testings. You got the formulas. You got medical toxicology. So it really ranges from all the types of situations your people work in laboratories to help out find new drugs to help calm down the exposure. Some use it for forensics, for crime scenes. Some other uses for marketing and businesses. So it really just depends, but every type of chemical has its own risk. It has its own way of like protecting crops or reactions to the body. But thank you so 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 much for listening to my slides, and I appreciate it. Thank you.